The alarm rang at 7 a.m. sharp. Jared Turner opened his eyes and stared at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above his bed. Something about the morning felt wrong. The air was quiet. Too quiet. No sounds of cars outside. No birds. Even his old refrigerator wasn't humming like it usually did. He sat up, confused, and checked his phone. Tuesday, 21st March. His calendar said the same. He had a work shift at the city's power station. Routine, boring, normal, but something in his chest felt tight, like déjà vu, but stronger. He showered, dressed in his gray uniform, and walked outside. The city looked fine at first glance. People walked, shops opened, but then he noticed a man at the corner who waved exactly the same way he did yesterday. A child dropped his ice cream in slow motion. Same place, same reaction as yesterday. Even the dog that barked at the postman barked at the same time. Weird, Jared whispered to himself. He got to work. The power station buzzed like usual. His co-worker Matt grinned and said, "Don't forget, coffee's on me today?" That's exactly what he had said yesterday. Word for word. Jared blinked. "Didn't you say the same thing yesterday?" Matt laughed. "What? No, man. You okay?" The rest of the day passed, and Jared tried to ignore the strange feeling. Maybe he was tired. Maybe he had dreamed yesterday. But that evening, something happened that shattered all doubt. At 6:14 p.m., an explosion rocked the building. Sparks flew, people screamed. Jared was thrown to the floor. Through smoke, he saw Matt, his co-worker, lying still under a pile of debris. Dead. Jared crawled out. Sirens screamed. Paramedics ran past. Firefighters shouted. The chaos burned into Jared's memory. Then, blackness. He woke up gasping. The ED fan spun above him. The phone said, "Tuesday, 21st March, again everything was reset, same date. Same calendar notification, same breakfast ad on TV. Jared jumped out of bed and ran outside. The man waved the same way. The ice cream dropped again. The dog barked. At the exact same time. What the hell is going on? He rushed to work. Matt greeted him with the same coffee joke. "Don't forget, coffee's on me today." Jared stared at him, speechless. Matt was alive. No sign of the explosion. No injuries. No one remembered what had happened yesterday. Because it wasn't yesterday. It was still Tuesday. Over the next few loops, Jared tested everything. He shouted in the street. He skipped work. He even smashed his own phone. But when he woke up, the day always restarted. No one remembered a thing. He was alone, trapped in time. But then, something changed. On the fifth loop, at exactly 3:17 p.m., Jared noticed a woman standing outside the station. She had never been there before. She was staring at the sky, like she could see something hidden in the clouds. Her coat was long and dark, and her hair was tied back sharply. She didn't move like everyone else. She didn't repeat. She blinked slowly and watched Jared with interest. He walked up to her. "Do you know what's happening?" he asked. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, "You're not the only one stuck, are you?" Before he could answer, she turned and walked away into the crowd. Jared stood frozen. He wasn't alone. That night he didn't try to sleep. He watched the city. He wrote notes. He marked things on a wall. He needed proof, something to carry forward. But every time the loop restarted, the notes vanished, his memory remained, but nothing else stayed. Still, that woman, she remembered. She was real, which meant there might be a way out. But something dark stirred behind the repetition. The explosion was only the beginning. Each loop was starting to feel heavier, colder. And something unseen was watching him now. Jared knew. The loop wasn't just a mistake. It was a trap. And someone or something wanted him to stay in it forever. Jared didn't sleep again. He watched the second hand on his wall clock tick with perfect rhythm. At 7 a.m., the alarm rang, just like always. But this time, he didn't get out of bed. He stared at the ceiling and whispered, "Tuesday again." By now, he had counted 7 loops. 7 days that were all the same. 7 explosions. 7 resets. He wasn't scared anymore. He was focused, and he had one goal now: find the woman. He skipped work and went straight to the power station at 3:30 p.m. That was the time he had first seen her, standing outside, looking at the sky. At 3:17, she appeared again. Same dark coat, same quiet presence. Jared walked straight to her. "You remember everything, don't you?" he asked. She nodded slowly but didn't smile. "You're late." Again. Her voice was calm, almost cold. "Who are you?" Jared asked. She looked around before answering. "Ava. How are we stuck in this loop?" She sighed. "Because someone made it, and we're not supposed to be here." Jared's heart beat faster. "Made it? You mean this loop is artificial?" Eva nodded. "Time doesn't break naturally, Jared. It's always caused by something, or someone." They found a quiet spot in a small public garden. Eva opened her coat slightly, revealing a metal device strapped to her wrist. It blinked softly. "What is that?" Jared asked. "Time pulse reader," she replied. "I used to work with a team studying time compression. We were part of something called the Chronocore Initiative. But it wasn't just science. It became military. Dangerous people wanted to use time control for power." Jared tried to understand. "So someone used it, and now we're stuck?" "Yes. But this loop isn't just an accident. It's a cage." Jared stood up and paced. "But why only us? Why remember? Why not the others?" Eva looked tired. "Because we were inside the loop's core radius when it activated. Everyone else, their memory resets. But we stay aware. We're not resetting, just trapped." Suddenly, a nearby street lamp blinked even though it was still daytime. Jared frowned. "That's new," he said. "It didn't happen last time." Eva's eyes narrowed. "It's adapting." "What do you mean?" She turned to him. "The loop is learning. It's not just repeating. It's reacting to us, watching us." Jared felt a chill run down his spine. "Can we get out?" Eva stood up. "I don't know, but I've been trying for 37 loops." Jared was shocked. 37. "Yes, I've been tracking changes. Every time we push the boundaries, go to different places, change major actions, something new happens. That's why I've been waiting. I can't do this alone." Jared finally felt hope. He wasn't crazy, and he wasn't alone. That night they met again on the rooftop of a tall building. Eva brought out a small map made of torn paper. She pointed at a red mark. "This place. It changes slightly every loop. It's the only thing I've found that doesn't repeat exactly. It was the city library, the basement floor." "What's in there?" Jared asked. That's what we'll find tomorrow, Eva replied. But if we go now, she shook her head. Too late today. The loop will reset in less than 4 hours. We can't make it in time. Tomorrow we start early. As Jared walked home, he noticed something he hadn't before. A man in a black coat stood at the far end of the street, not moving. His face was shadowed, his hands in his pockets. He didn't speak, didn't blink. When Jared looked again, he was gone. The street felt colder. Was it just a glitch in the loop, or something watching him? Back in his apartment, Jared scribbled on his wall, Eva, 3:17 p.m., library, next loop. Something is watching. Then he lay in bed, heart pounding. At 7:00 a.m., the alarm rang, same Tuesday. Again. But this time Jared didn't feel lost. This time he had a plan, and for the first time he had a partner. But deep inside him, something warned. They were not alone in the loop, and what waited in that basement might not want to be found. At exactly 7:01 a.m., Jared stood near the city library. He didn't waste a minute that loop. He had dressed quickly, skipped breakfast, and walked straight to the meeting point. Eva joined him 5 minutes later, carrying a small backpack and wearing the same serious look as before. Without talking much, they entered the library together. The building smelled of old paper and dust. Light came through tall glass windows, and the place was mostly empty, just a few students sitting quietly. But Jared wasn't there to read books. They moved to the back, toward a narrow stairway that led down to the basement. A sign said, Archives. Staff only. The door was locked, as expected, but Eva took out a small tool from her bag. Within seconds, the lock clicked open. How do you know how to do that? Jared whispered. Eva smirked slightly. When you're stuck in time for weeks, you learn things. They stepped inside. The basement was dark, cold, and full of metal shelves stacked with old documents. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. A soft hum echoed from somewhere deeper. Inside, Jared paused. Do you hear that? Eva nodded. The source is close. They followed the humming sound through the rows of files until they found a small metal door, half-rusted and hidden behind broken cabinets. Eva pressed her hand against it. It was never here before, she whispered. The loop added it. Jared felt uneasy. Why would it add a door? Eva stepped back. Because it knows we're looking. With a breath, she pushed the door open. Inside was a small chamber. The walls were lined with blinking panels, machines that looked alien. In the center was a strange object floating mid-air. It looked like a black cube, but its surface shifted like water, glowing softly with blue lights. Jared moved closer. What is that? Eva stared at it, her eyes wide. I think it's the anchor, the thing holding the loop in place. Suddenly, the humming grew louder. A deep voice echoed in the room. You were not meant to enter here. Jared turned fast, but no one was there. The cube flickered. The lights turned red. Eva, he said quickly, we need to leave. Now. As they rushed back through the archive, a loud noise exploded behind them. The lights blinked out. A figure stepped from the shadows. It wasn't human. Its body was tall, armored, and its eyes glowed red. It moved without sound. Its arms were long, ending in sharp metallic claws. Eva whispered, It's a time guardian. Jared froze. What does that mean? It protects the loop. It hunts anything that tries to escape. The guardian moved fast, too fast. It struck. The wall beside them, slicing through metal like paper. Jared and Eva ran up the stairs, crashing through the library doors and back into the street. The creature didn't follow. Not this time. Breathing hard, Jared looked back. The door to the basement had vanished. Just bricks. No sign of the Guardian. No sign of the chamber. Was that even real? Jared gasped. Eva's hands trembled. Yes, but it won't let us back again so easily. That night they met again in the rooftop garden. Eva drew a circle on her map and marked it in red. The Guardian is real, and the anchor is still down there. We need a new plan. Jared sat beside her. You said it protects the loop, but who made the loop? Eva didn't answer right away. Then she said softly, the Chronocore project was run by humans, but the tech was not from Earth. Jared looked at her. Aliens? Eva nodded slowly. Yes, we found the tech in space, a crashed ship near Jupiter. We brought the device back, studied it, used it, but we didn't understand what we were touching. We just activated it. Jared felt sick. So this is our fault. Eva looked up at the stars. No, it's their design. We only turned it on. But now we have to turn it off, before it learns too much about us. Suddenly, Jared froze. Across the rooftop, near the stairwell, the same man in the black coat was standing, just like the night before. He didn't move, he didn't speak. His eyes glowed faintly, just like the Guardian's. Eva stood up. He's watching the loops. He's not from here, Jared whispered. Then who is he? The man smiled faintly. Just a flicker. Then he stepped backward and vanished into the air. Nothing but a gust of wind remained. Eva turned to Jared. The loop is changing. It's no longer just repeating. Now it's testing us. Jared clenched his fists. Then we test it back. Tuesday started again. But something had changed. The sun looked darker, like a cloud was stuck in the sky that never moved. The streets felt colder. People walked the same as before, but now Jared noticed tiny errors. A man who used to tie his shoe at exactly 9:15 a.m. was now missing his shoelace. A bus usually honked once at the same corner, but today it didn't make a sound. The loop was glitching. Jared met Eva at the edge of the city park. She was already looking around, more alert than usual. "You're seeing it too?" he asked. "The small errors?" She nodded. "Yes, the system is breaking. The more we fight, the more unstable it becomes." They walked to the library again, but as expected, the basement door was gone, just like the previous loop. No trace of the Guardian, no glowing cube. Eva looked around. The loop doesn't want us there again, but maybe it can't block everything. Jared tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Eva pulled out her device. "There's another pulse. A weak signal, but still active. It's coming from the east part of the city." The signal led them to a train station, one that had been closed for years. A heavy gate blocked the entrance, but they climbed over and walked through the broken glass doors. Inside, the air was stale, dust covered everything. But deep below, in the old tunnels, the signal grew stronger. At the end of one tunnel, they found a metal door pulsing with light, half buried under rocks and twisted cables. Eva checked her device. "It's reacting to something inside. Maybe another anchor." They pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room looked like a command center, but not built by humans. The panels floated mid-air. The screen showed strange symbols. One screen blinked repeatedly with two English words. Loop active. Suddenly, Jared saw something moving in the corner. It was small. A thin machine, like a silver spider with glowing eyes. But it wasn't alive. It twitched, stuck halfway between motion and stillness. "What is that?" he whispered. Eva knelt beside it. A failed drone. Maybe it was watching us. Maybe it broke. But as she touched it, the screen changed. Warning. Error detected. Glitch containment failed, and the lights turned red. The ground shook. From the far end of the tunnel something began to move, loud, fast, and angry. A figure appeared, sprinting through the dark. It wasn't the same Guardian. It was worse. This one had no face, just a smooth metal plate where eyes and a mouth should be. Its arms were longer. Blades spun on its wrists. Sparks flew from its shoulders. It didn't walk. It slid like liquid steel. Eva screamed, "Run!" They ran through the tunnels, dodging pipes, broken rails, and falling wires. The creature didn't speak. It just chased. Its steps made no sound, but its blades screamed through the air. As they turned a corner, Jared grabbed a broken power box and smashed it open. Electricity sparked out wildly. "Here!" he yelled, pointing to the water leaking from a pipe. "Get ready to jump." The moment the creature stepped on the wet floor, Jared threw the live wire. A burst of light exploded. The creature twitched violently, then collapsed, smoke rising from its body, but Eva wasn't smiling. "That won't stop it forever. It'll reset like everything else." Jared nodded. "But at least we know it can be hurt." Back on the surface, they found a quiet rooftop again. Eva looked exhausted. "We're getting close to something," she said. "The loop is throwing more at us because we're a threat now." Jared sat down beside her. "Do you think this will ever end?" Eva looked up at the night sky. "It has to. Either we break it, or it breaks us." Jared took a deep breath. "That second drone, the one that glitched, it wasn't supposed to act that way, right?" Eva nodded. "No, the system is struggling. If we can cause more errors, bigger glitches, maybe we can crash the whole thing." Jared stood. "Then tomorrow, we stop following the pattern. We do everything different. We confuse it, force it to break." Eva gave a tired smile. "Chaos is our weapon now." But far away, hidden in a dark control room beyond time, the man in the black coat stood before a screen. He watched their every move, and this time he smiled. Tuesday started again, but this time Jared didn't move when the alarm rang. He didn't get up, didn't check his phone. He just lay there, staring at the ceiling fan turning above his head, wondering if he was still human, or just another broken part of the loop. Then he whispered to himself, "Let's confuse it." At exactly 8 a.m., Jared did something completely new, something he had never done in any of the past loops. He walked to the city's tallest tower and climbed 20 floors up. He stood on the edge of the roof, looking down at the silent traffic, then shouted into the sky, "We know what you are! We're not afraid anymore!" A few people looked up. Some laughed. Some ignored him. But one thing was clear. Nothing repeated like before. A child who used to drop an ice cream at 9:03 a.m. now tripped on the sidewalk instead. A woman who used to argue on her phone didn't even show up. The loop was losing control. Jared met Eva in front of the coffee shop. She was already watching the crowd. "You were right," she said. "Doing things differently is shaking it. I walked into traffic today. No car hit me. The cars just froze." Jared nodded. "It's trying to correct itself, but it's getting weaker." Eva pulled out her time reader. The screen now flashed something new. Nested loop detected. Jared frowned. What does that mean? Eva stared at the screen. We're not in one loop anymore. We're in multiple loops, layered over each other, like mirrors facing mirrors. Every time we act out of pattern, a deeper layer wakes up. Jared stepped back, stunned. So this isn't the real Tuesday? Eva looked up, serious. It never was. They returned to the abandoned train station. The power was back, but differently. The panels glowed green this time, not red. On one screen, a countdown had begun, 4 loops remaining. Jared's hands trembled. What happens when it hits 0? Eva answered softly. Either the loop ends, or we do. Suddenly, one of the youth's floating panels flickered, and the face of the man in the black coat appeared. No eyes, no mouth, just shadow and light. He spoke in a cold, even voice. You are corrupting the sequence. This action is unauthorized. Jared shouted back. Then, stop us! The figure didn't respond. Instead, it repeated, loop collapse in progress, adjusting containment. The lights shut off. Eva grabbed Jared's arm. We have to move, now. They ran, but the tunnels began to shift. The walls bent, the floor twisted, doors disappeared, and reappeared in different spots. It was like running through a living puzzle. At one turn they found a mirror wall that hadn't been there before, but when they looked into it, they didn't see their reflections. They saw 2 different versions of themselves. One version of Jared was bleeding, crawling on the floor. Another showed Eva screaming as a time guardian grabbed her. What is this? Jared gasped. Eva replied, Other loops, other endings. The wall shattered on its own, exploding into pieces, and behind it stood another Jared. But this one had cold eyes and wore a dark version of the same clothes. You're late, the other Jared said. You always are. Jared backed away. Who are you? I'm the version that gave up, the other Jared said. But I stayed long enough to learn the truth. He stepped forward. You won't escape. There is no outside, only deeper layers. The only way out is to break the core from inside. Then he vanished, fading into mist. Eva turned to Jared. We're not just in a loop. We're part of a test, a system. Something is learning from us. Jared clenched his fists. Then let's break the system. They left the station and made their way to the final location Eva had marked on her map, a government lab hidden behind the hills outside the city. This lab had once been where the Chrono Core experiment began. They passed empty roads, abandoned, buildings and security fences that seemed to flicker in and out of reality. As they reached the entrance, Eva's device let out a loud beep. The words flashed, Core signal found. Jared looked at her. This is it? Eva nodded. One last shot before we lose all control. Inside the lab, the air was heavy. Machines hummed, and at the center of the main room stood a giant glass tube with the black, shifting cube floating again. But this time, it was different. It pulsed like a heart. Faster and louder, Eva turned to Jared. We destroy it now, or it destroys us. Jared stepped forward, but the lights turned red, and behind them, the Guardian returned. The red lights flashed across the lab walls. Jared and Eva stood frozen. The black cube pulsed in the center of the glass tube like a beating heart. Its glow was stronger than before, almost angry. Then came the sound, sharp mechanical footsteps. The Time Guardian entered the lab, its silver body shining under the red light, its blade arms extended, ready to strike. Jared grabbed Eva's arm. "We don't have time to run." Eva's eyes locked on the cube. "Then we finish this now." She reached into her backpack and pulled out a silver device, something she had never shown Jared before. It was flat, about the size of her hand, and covered in alien symbols. "What is that?" Jared asked, surprised. "A disruptor," Eva answered. "It was built from the same tech that created the loop. If we get it close to the cube and overload it, the loop might collapse." Jared nodded. "Let's end this." The Guardian stepped forward, blocking their path to the cube. Its eyes glowed red, and its voice boomed, "Unauthorized presence. Terminate sequence." Without hesitation, Jared grabbed a metal rod from the floor and swung at the Guardian. It blocked the strike easily, but it gave Eva just enough time to run toward the tube. The Guardian turned, but Jared jumped on its back, shouting, "Not this time!" He held tight as the machine thrashed, dragging him across the floor. Sparks flew as it slammed against the wall. Jared groaned, his ribs aching, but he didn't let go. Eva reached the glass tube and placed the disruptor against it. The device beeped, once, twice, then turned green. "It's working," she yelled, but the Guardian roared and threw Jared off like a toy. He crashed into a table and fell to the ground, coughing. Eva looked back and saw the Guardian charging at her. She had no choice. She pulled out a flare-like stick from her belt, twisted it, and threw it at the machine. Boom! A blast of light filled the lab, and the Guardian stumbled, blinded for a moment. Jared dragged himself to his feet. "Eva, is it done?" "Almost," she shouted. The disruptor glowed brighter and brighter, but now the cube was reacting. Its surface rippled like liquid, and strange symbols lit up in the air. Suddenly, a siren blared through the lab. "Core stability failing." The ground trembled. The walls cracked. The loop was starting to fall apart. Then, without warning, the man in the black coat appeared. He stood on a high platform above them, watching like a silent judge. "You were not meant to reach this point," he said calmly. Jared pointed at him. "Who are you?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he lifted his hand, and time froze. Jared saw the sparks in the air stop mid-fall. Eva's hair froze in motion. The Guardian stopped in its tracks. Only Jared could move. The man walked down the steps, slowly. "You are a variable," he said. "An error. The loop was not designed for people like you. It was meant to test limits, measure reactions. But you are unstable." Jared took a step back. "Then shut it down. Let us go." The man shook his head. "We can't allow you to leave. You've seen too much. The system must reset." Jared looked at Eva, frozen, holding the disruptor. He clenched, his fists. "Then I'll break it myself." With every bit of strength, Jared lunged toward the cube. The moment he touched the disruptor, time snapped back. The cube began to collapse. Light poured out of it like a supernova. The man in the black coat screamed, not in pain, but in anger. "You don't understand what you're doing," Jared shouted. "I don't care anymore." The lab exploded in white light. Time cracked, like glass. Jared saw images flash before his eyes. Every Tuesday, every loop, every death, every moment he thought was lost. And then, silence. Jared woke up. The air was still. He sat up slowly. He was in his apartment. He looked at the date. Wednesday, 22nd March. His hands shook. Tears filled his eyes. It was finally over. But Eva, He jumped up and rushed to the park where they always met. No one was there. He searched the streets. Nothing. Then he saw a folded paper under the bench. He picked it up. One line was written, "If you're reading this, I didn't make it. But you did. Break the chain. Keep moving. Eva." Jared stared at the note, then at the sky. A single question remained in his heart. What if this was just another loop? Jared sat on the bench in the park, gripping the note Eva had left. The wind was soft. The sky was clear. It was Wednesday. Finally. But his heart felt heavy. Eva was gone. She had made it possible, for him at least, to escape. She'd fought through 37 loops, taken the risk, faced the Guardians, and disappeared in the final moment. He looked around the park. Everything was normal. People walked, laughed, checked their phones. A dog barked. A baby cried. It was the kind of peaceful chaos he hadn't seen in weeks. But Jared didn't trust it. Not yet. He walked through the city slowly, looking at everything, watching people carefully, searching for patterns, repeats, small glitches. But there were none. The man who used to drop his coffee didn't. The shop that always opened at 9 was late. Even the bus, usually right on time, rolled in 5 minutes behind schedule. Real time was messy, and for once Jared was thankful for that. Still, something didn't sit right. He walked to the old power station where it had all started. He just wanted to stand there, to remember, to be sure it was all real. When he got there, he saw something strange. A man was sitting outside. Older, maybe 60s. Gray coat. Calm eyes. Jared paused. "You work here?" The man looked up. "Used to, long time ago. Now I just watch." Jared sat beside him. "Ever hear of the Chronocore project?" The man smiled gently. "Funny thing about time projects. They always leave traces." Jared froze. "You know about it?" The man didn't answer directly. He just said, "People think time is a line, but it's not. It's a web. Pull one thread and the rest shiver." Jared stared at him. "Who are you?" The man turned. "Someone who's been through a few loops himself." Then he stood, tapped Jared on the shoulder, and walked away. Gone. Just like that. That night, Jared sat in his apartment staring at the stars from his window. He kept thinking of Eva. What if she was trapped in another layer? What if she broke free, into a different time branch? What if he had escaped, but she was still fighting? He picked up a pen and wrote in a notebook, "Ava, if you're out there, I'll find you." Then he closed the book and looked at the mirror. But something strange happened. His reflection blinked, half a second too late. His heart skipped. He stood up slowly. The lights flickered. Just once. A street lamp outside sparked for no reason, and his clock froze at 7 a.m. for 2 full seconds. Then it started ticking again. Jared stepped back. No. He grabbed his phone. Wednesday, 22nd March. But the calendar app said, "Event repeated, weekly Tuesday." He checked the alarm settings. The label read, "Loop start confirmed." His breath turned cold. The cube, the Guardian, the explosions. What if that wasn't the final loop? What if he only escaped into another layer? Jared ran outside, heart racing. He needed answers. He rushed to the library, to the basement. It wasn't there. He went to the train station, still abandoned. But as he stood there trying to breathe, something across the street caught his eye. A woman in a dark coat. Her back to him. Jared shouted, "Eva!" She didn't turn. He ran across the street, but when he reached the spot, she was gone. Vanished into the crowd. Only a note remained on the bench. This time typed. Clean, cold. You passed level 1. Welcome to loop 2. The world around him flickered. Just for a second. The sky glitched. The streets stretched, then snapped back. And Jared finally understood. The real loop had never ended. It had just gone deeper. He dropped to his knees, breathing hard. Then, slowly, he stood. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "You want a war? I'll give you one." He reached into his jacket, pulled out Eva's old time reader. Still glowing, still tracking. The display showed one word. Active. Jared smirked. He wasn't afraid anymore. If Tuesday wanted to come again, it wouldn't find him unprepared. This time he would be the glitch. And this time he wouldn't be alone.